Is it bad to say I think I need more tackle? What's up, guys? It's your boy Serar. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Serar's Fishing School. Today, we are talking about tournament prep. So, tournament prep. I want to go over basically my mindset when I'm talking about prepping for a tournament, as well as the process of actually prepping for the tournament. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of tackle behind me here. I have a lot. I have 6 boxes full of lures. I got all my plastics in the back there. I got my 6 main tournament rods that I use, as well as more stuff in my closet. But in all seriousness, all of it has a purpose. I've mentioned it before. I have a lot of gear, but every single piece of gear that's on my bed right now has a purpose, and I've used it at one point in time for some reason. Tomorrow, I am going to be going to a local lake that I haven't been to in a while, but I know fairly well. And I decided, since I'm actually going to be able to go on a boat for once, I'm going to enter a little online tournament. There's an app out there called TourneyX. TourneyX allows you to enter open tournaments for a nominal fee, and you have a chance for some decent payout. And at the same time, it's just competition. You can have some fun. So tomorrow's tournament is going to be based off of length. So with that in mind, let's get into the actual process of prepping for a tournament. So when I'm prepping for a tournament, the first thing I think about is my own local head knowledge. How much do I know about this lake? Do I know anything about this lake? Is it brand new to me? Do I know it? What's going on? Luckily for me, for this tournament tomorrow, I have a pretty good idea of what to expect at this tournament, or at least at the lake itself. I have a preconceived notion of what the fish should be biting on, but then again, every single day that you go out on the water, it's different. So you got to keep an open mind and still adapt to the preconceived notions that you already have. The second thing you need to think about, after kind of understanding your own head knowledge and researching other things about the lake, you want to look at the conditions. And me personally, I like to look at conditions for the week before and the week after the tournament day that I have, because you can kind of see trends in the weather, and you can kind of deduce whether you should see a change in the fish's behavior based on the weather. For example, if this whole last week had been raining and tomorrow was the first day of sun, or vice versa, it's been hot and now it's supposed to be rainy and cloudy and like 10 degrees cooler, the fish are going to change habits from what they've done for the last week. Luckily for me, tomorrow, it's been in the high 90s to low hundreds. It's going to stay that way. Why do I go out on the hottest days of the year? I don't know. But anyways, yes, weather trends are a huge way to help kind of get yourself in the mindset of what am I expecting based off of the weather. Right now, since the weather has been pretty much constant, I'm expecting them to be in a similar stage to what they were yesterday. I shouldn't have to worry about fish moving around a lot. It's the middle of summer. They should be in their typical summer haunts. Another thing that you could also think about too, and at least in my case it's going to work for tomorrow, but in general, if you're going to a lake that has more than one tournament, so it's pretty well known for tournaments, they hold tournaments maybe, every other weekend or something, look at the latest tournament results and see what the weights were looking like, or how many fish were people catching, how big were the fish, and then what were they catching their fish on. There should be whole breakdowns online for any tournament that you go into. In my case, the lake that I'm going to tomorrow recently had the Wild West Bass Trail there, and so I looked up the results there. The results weren't great as far as that lake goes. That lake is known for a lot bigger fish. However, it wasn't bad. People were able to still find fish. Alright, so I'm actually going to really quickly research this tournament a bit more. I saw the results and saw the weights, but I never got to see what the fish were caught on. So for what I see right now, just given the general synopsis of this entire result page, it seems like the bite was tough, but the fish are shallow. Most guys were seen fishing in shallower than 10 feet of water, which for that lake actually really surprises me. I thought these guys would be out on these deep humps looking for schools of fish, because that's typically what I've seen this time of year. But if these fish are shallow, that's actually a lot better for me, given that I don't have any electronics. I'm just going on a rental boat tomorrow. So if these fish are up shallow, that's great for me. Now, as far as structure goes, it seems like these guys were fishing brush piles and sticks up shallow to get those bigger bites. I've got a couple of ideas now because I understand that lake. I know some areas where there's some good structure like that people might not know. And I have a couple extra baits that I know work at that lake that are up my sleeve. You know, people did mention too that the wind created another factor here. So I have to keep that in mind as well. If the wind picks up, what am I going to do? When am I going to change and throw? So now I've got an idea of what the conditions are going to be like. I know what I've learned from that lake in the past myself. And I've looked at tournament results to see what the general synopsis of the lake is. Now comes the fun part. All of that's back there. As you can see over here, I have a total of 6 rods that I'm planning to bring tomorrow. So, that is 6 options that I have of rigging something up. So now my whole plan of attack for right now is, what am I going to rig up? I've got 6 rods. I'm starting out my day tomorrow. What 6 baits am I going to have ready to throw in the morning? Now, this is honestly the tough part for me, because it's hard for me to really explain my reasoning for rigging up what I rig up without literally going through every single bait and discussing its purpose. I don't think it's worth utilizing that much time for the video for that reason, but that's what I typically do. I already have a preconceived notion of what each one of my baits does, what each one of the rods does that I have, and why I would rig up the way that I rig up. And honestly, if you guys want a more in-depth analysis to different baits, different styles, I'm going to leave a link either up here or in the description down below for the tier list video I made of bass fishing lures. And I think that'll give you guys a much better perspective as to what each bait does. So then you can understand why I would rig up the baits that I rig up in that situation. So as far as actual fishing goes, that's the majority of the mental side to it. I think other than that, tournament prep tips that I could give somebody who's a novice or even an avid tournament fisherman: make sure you have everything, double check and pack everything the night before so you don't have to think about anything when you go to bed. You have everything done, ready to go. I'll even make myself lunch, have all my snacks packaged up, have all my drinks packaged up and ready to go. Like, I'm basically ready to wake up and walk out the door in the morning. For the most part, you're waking up early for these tournaments. You don't want to just be sitting there groggy trying to figure out what you need to do. You're gonna look like you're drunk and you just woke up with a hangover. And other than that, the only tip I can give you is just be adaptable. You have this whole kind of idea in your head when you go to this lake, because you've done all your research and you've gone through kind of the process that I talked about today to say, okay, I have a pretty good idea of where I'm going to catch my fish tomorrow. Let's make it happen. But if you go out there and you're utilizing all that information that you have and you're still not catching fish, change something up. You're sitting there for an hour doing what you think is correct and you're not catching fish, you're doing something wrong. And that's not a slam on anybody. It happens all the time. It happens to everybody. And the people who can adapt to those bad moments are the ones who typically do best and most consistent in professional tournament fishing. I'm expecting these fish to be shallow tomorrow, just from everything that I've read, which is good. But if I'm not catching any fish shallow, maybe I'll go try out deep. Maybe I'll switch up the baits. Maybe I'll do something different, a different color, a different area. It's all about being able to adapt on the fly. And honestly, I've struggled with that in tournament. And it's one of those things that I've had to learn over time, because you spend so many hours and so much time researching and fishing to figure out things that you think would work. But if you don't adapt, you're just going to be sitting there missing out on something because you're just so stuck in the one rig that you're using or whatever it may be. So that's all I wanted to talk about for today. It's probably going to be a bit of a short video, just much more informational. But I will be recording on the water tomorrow for this tournament. So be on the lookout after this video goes up for the video of my tournament. And I gotta go rig up for tomorrow. Let's see if we can win a little bit of cash and have some fun tomorrow. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.